Perfect. All right, we are good to get started. So welcome everybody to our second Outbound online orientation session. Welcome to Outbounds, welcome to Rotarians, welcome to Rebounds, welcome to Rotex, welcome to YOs. There's a whole bunch of people on here. This is really exciting. So hope everybody's doing well. I'll show you a quick agenda for the evening and then we'll dive right in. All right. So we're going to start with an icebreaker. You know, we want to be besties by the end of these, so we got to get to know each other a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about the homework assignment number 1. That was the one that we handed out to you in January that you've been working on for the past few weeks, okay? And that's why we've got all these awesome Rebounds and Rotex here, because they're going to help you with the language component of that. Then we're going to talk about the February homework assignment, so the one that we're going to give you after today's session that you're going to work on over the next couple of weeks. Then you're going to hear from the lovely Ross, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the support network, the kind of umbrella, the net that's here to help you and protect you and keep you safe and successful while you're on your exchange. And then we have time for some Q&A, hopefully. So that's basically it for tonight. So before we dive into the icebreakers, are there any questions? Okay, don't see any. Another quick question, did Teo make it on? Don't see him yet. Okay, well, we'll get started anyway. So we're going to start with the icebreakers. Is everybody familiar with Mentimeter or Menti? Raise your hand if you know what Menti is. Okay, cool. Something new for everybody. So breaking the ice on multiple levels here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Let me know if you can see this. Because we're going to do some polling questions together, so we can get to know you. Everybody see, is everyone still seeing the previous slide or are you seeing the new thing?
We're seeing what methods are you using to learn your language?
Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'm going to launch this sucker. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to menti.com and you're going to enter the code that you see at the top of the screen. So 40, 10, 56, 7. Okay. Oh, and I'll even copy the link. I didn't even know you could do that. So I'm going to pop this in the chat and I want you to go to that website. You can go like on the same device you're currently on. You can do it on like your phone, on a separate device. It doesn't matter. And you're going to go to menti.com. It's going to ask you for a code. You put in that code and then you can respond to this question. There's the website and everybody can take part in this. This isn't just for the outbounds. It can be anyone in here. Okay, so we got some stuff coming in. Awesome. All sorts of feelings. Okay. Got like 17-ish, so that's good. How many participants do we have? 44, so we're getting there. I'm not going to expect everyone to do it because I feel like some people maybe just won't participate. There's Teo. Awesome, he made it on. All right, 31. Wow, this is like super awesome participation. Well done, everyone.
Can you vote more than once? Because I think I bumped up exhausted.
Yeah, you can. I think I let it where you could do 2 or 3 times.
I was just banging away.
Guys, I think Ken needs a pat on the back, guys. Send him a clapping emoji or something, would you?
Oh my gosh.
He needs a bit of encouragement.
Please.
Ken's the hardest working outbound coordinator in District 6380. Let me tell you.
Don't know about that.
All right, so we'll go maybe 45 out of 44. So we're getting more response. Okay, give it maybe like 30 more seconds. Let's see how people are feeling here. We got, I'm very hungry. Cool, okay. Exhausted. I'm a little worried that exhausted is bigger than happy, but I mean, that's pretty close, that's all right.
I think that's me. I hit it a bunch of times.
I'm curious to see what Roseanne would say about this, looking at all these different words. Excited, nervous, yeah, good vibes, good, so good, obsessed, Yeah, too obsessed, too blessed to be stressed, right? Sick, supported, pressured. Nice. Okay.
Okay, I'm glad to see the variety because it tells me that people aren't feeling they have to say positive things. They can admit to being nervous
There you
or
go.
anxious. That's good.
And hungry too, and nervous, but in a good way, as I can see in the bottom now. Okay, we're going to go to the next question. That was like a good get us started. We have another icebreaker to figure out all about all of this group here. So the second question, here it comes. I'm going to ask you, it's going to take a second to flip just because my computer is, doing its best. But we're going to go to next slide. And the next question is, what's your favorite breakfast? What's your favorite breakfast? Here are your options. You go back to that same browser. The new question should appear. You've got waffles, yes. Who gets up early enough to eat breakfast anyway? Eggs and bacon, or cereal for me? I'm shocked no one even put cereal. I didn't put yogurt. I was going to put oatmeal. I was going to put yogurt. And then I thought, behavioral economics tells us that sometimes too much choice is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I kept it limited. Okay. So far, I'm not surprised at this result. So Ross and Chuck and Ken and everyone, this prepares us for a very real thing at the conferences in May, 8 a.m. wake up, or rather 8 a.m. start times for the sessions. Rachel is simultaneously smirking and shuddering as she remembers the really loud, annoying wake up calls. She's like, I'm still traumatized.
So 50% of the people are getting waffles and 50% roughly are not eating. So we're good.
Basically, that's what it sounds like, eh? All right, got 39 participants. Give it maybe 5 or 6 more seconds. Get those last votes in, or maybe maybe everyone's already done it. That is going to do it. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and okay, we're going to do one more to wake everybody up. Here we go. Last question. Okay, rank the past 5 Super Bowl halftime shows from greatest of all time to worst ever. So these are the last 5. These aren't these are just in like chronological order. So obviously like Dr. Dre was the most recent one and Maroon 5 was 5 years ago. So what do you think?
Is the Super Bowl hockey or what?
No, it's that really big tennis match. I mean, obviously Billie Jean King was in it, so it must have been tennis. Obviously.
Sports.
You're missing Prince.
Well, this is just the last 5 years. I went back all the way to in 1967. I found out that there was like the special guest in 1967 was the marching band.
Yes.
Can you imagine how exotic? Okay, Shakira, that was a pretty amazing show. Shakira,
I'll line up with that.
That was a good one.
All the old people have Maroon 5.
Yeah. They're like, what's the one that sounds like elevator music? That was my favorite.
Michael Jackson, come on.
You have to watch football for this.
Well, sure. I only go because my mom is a huge football fan. So she has a huge Super Bowl party every year. And so I go for the chili and meatballs. I'm not going to lie.
When was Lady Gaga? Wasn't she recently? She
was actually like 1 year before all of these, or maybe 2 years before.
Oh,
Just before.
okay.
It was like Justin Timberlake. And then I think the year before that was Lady Gaga, which was just before these.
Okay.
Yeah.
She had the best entrance for sure.
Right? Like jumping from the top of the world. Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right. So far, Shakira and J-Lo, we seem to be a Shakira and J-Lo crowd. We'll keep that in mind for the morning tunage at the conferences. That's good. All right. Then follow. Wow. I'm shocked that this is the second one. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar. Okay. I also forgot 50 Cent on there, but he wasn't technically listed because he was like a surprise guest. All right. Then Katy Perry, The Weeknd, and Maroon 5. All right. I feel like we just really grew a lot closer there. We really know a lot about each other now. That was awesome. I know it was Ross that voted Shakira and J-Lo #1. So I know him better. Anyway.
I voted repeatedly for that.
I bet you did. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're going to come back to Menti so you can keep that browser open. You don't have to close it, but also if you do close it, not a big deal. You can go back to it later. You just need to enter that code again. So not a big deal if you close the window. Okay, let's move forward, or rather back to the agenda. So first thing we're going to do is talk about the homework from January. And to start us off, I'm actually going to pass it to Ken, who is going to get the conversation going in terms of kind of language and how that all went and how you're all doing with that. So Ken, I'm going to pass it off to you. And I've got the question ready whenever you're ready. So.
Yep, just need to stop sharing so I can show my.
Yep.
I had a couple slides, and I was going to go into the what app they used or whatever. Is that okay to do, or do you want to wait for your mentee?
Do you want to do Menti first? And then I guess I'll stop sharing and get out of the way. Would that work?
We can,
Cool,
because
okay.
then I'm going to just have them elaborate. So it'd be
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
to throw it up,
Yeah, perfect.
and then we'll just have each individual sort of elaborate. So why don't we do that? We'll work together.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to launch another Menti question related to your language homework you've been doing. So head back to Menti, and the question's going to come up in just a second. So what methods are you using to learn your language? And this one, you'll notice when you get there, it's not multiple choice or anything, so you can type in.
It's a free form. So yeah, so what we're looking here is if you chose an app, if you chose, to do the Post-its or, learning 5 words a day type of thing. Some of the things we talked about last week, or last session.
Did you want the rebounds to also put what they used before they left, or do you want to leave this to the outbounds?
It's okay. Yeah, more the merrier, I think. Nice, interesting.
And Ken, just let me know when you want me to stop sharing.
Yeah, they're still kind of scrolling up here.
Yep.
I'm just amazed at the vast differences, but we did talk about different learning styles. Flashcards and Duolingo weighted down repetitively. Okay, I think we got to the bottom of it.
Cool.
And a tutor and Forvo. Okay.
Awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll just all right, everybody see that okay? So just a couple little quotes here, some things to get our head around what we're trying to accomplish here when it comes to the language. There's a little quote from Nelson Mandela that I used in the past. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, and that it goes to his head, but if you talk to him in his own language, it goes to his heart. So, the kind of point here is that people are going to give you some slack. As long as you're trying your best to speak their language, they will appreciate it. So don't be afraid to make mistakes in learning languages. Nothing feels better than getting it right after getting it wrong. And it just goes without saying, the normal way to begin speaking in a new language is to begin speaking badly. That's basically the only choice you have. So you have to get going on it. So last time we talked about these learning apps, and we just did a little exercise to see, and I see a vast array of what people are using. One of the reasons that people like different things, as we talked last time, is the different types of learning, whether you're a visual learner or an auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner with the hands-on. So what I'd like to do with just a few minutes here is to go through and have everybody talk about, did you pick up on what your learning style might be? What app or method or technique are you using, and how is that working for you? And now we do have 26 people, so you basically have, 30 seconds, 45 seconds at the most to go through that. So I think this is about a 15-minute section, right, Kurt?
Yeah, you got it.
I'll set my timer just to make sure. So I'm going to knock this down so that we can see everybody and stop sharing, I think. Yep. And if you guys could just start by just raising hands. Who wants to go first? Did you determine what your learning style might be? What are you using, and how is that working for you? Not everybody at once. I don't
I
see
saw
any hands.
Gwendolyn's hands up.
Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay, I got Hannah showed up first here in the top left. Hannah Kennedy.
So I'm an auditory learner, so I've been using Duolingo and Spotify podcasts that speak all in German, so I can get used to how it sounds.
Cool. I'm gonna write these down too because this is great information for the future. Who is NOA? Noah?
Noah, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, sorry. I'm a can't remember how to say the word. Kinesthetic. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's why I write a ton of notes and I'm like constantly repeating things and using cue cards. That's the only way I can learn with school and everything like that. And mostly I've been using Duolingo and Spanish Dict, and also I like listening to podcasts.
And podcasts. Cool. Caleb.
Hi, I think I'm a kinesthetic learner because I've been writing stuff down repetitively, and I've been using Duolingo, Google, and YouTube.
Okay. Julia.
I think I'm like an auditory or visual. I really like seeing like how it's spelled and like then hearing how that's said. I've been like doing Duolingo. I've done a bit of like online tutoring, so that's like helped me with like speaking. And I also really like using flashcards.
Flashcards. And where did you find your online tutoring?
It's on Preply. It's a really easy to use website, and they have like a lot of languages.
How do you spell that?
Preply, Preply.
Okay. Gwendolyn.
I think that I'm both an auditory and visual learner. So I use Duolingo for more auditory things and Swedish Pod 101 for more visual because they have a lot of PDFs and things like that.
Okay. The website you mentioned, Swedish.
It's a Swedish Pod 101.
Swedish Pod?
Pod is in podcast.
Okay. So I wonder if if they have other ones for other countries as well. That would be interesting to find out. If anybody
I know
wants to
they
look
have at least Japanese Pod 101.
Okay. Swedish Pod 101. Avery?
I think I'm a kinesthetic learner. I take a lot of notes and I'll like write things down a lot. And I like to redo a bunch of homework that's assigned by my tutor.
So repetition. Okay. Anna?
I think I'm like a mix between like auditory and kinesthetic. I listen to like a lot of podcasts and I also like listen to Netflix shows and that are in Swedish and listen to them. And I've also like made a bunch of flashcards for myself.
Those in flashcards. Very cool. Ava?
I think I'm more of a kinesthetic or visual learner. I've been doing a lot of Duolingo and flashcards and writing everything down.
Notes. And Trinity?
I think I'm a mix of a visual learner and also an auditory learner. And I've mostly been using Duolingo, but I also changed the location on my TikTok to Germany so that I get a bunch of German TikToks. Since whenever I'm just sitting watching TikToks now, I just watch German TikToks. So honestly, that's been very, very helpful because, you know, Duolingo, like it gives you the words and it gives you it slowly, but like when they're actually talking, it's really fast. So that's helpful.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's going to be helpful with inflection and how people speak with their hands and whatnot. Anne?
So I'm definitely an auditory learner. So when I've been using Duolingo and writing down words, I try and say them out loud as I write them down. That just really helps me with pronunciation so I can like feel comfortable saying it. So even in Duolingo, I just like talk through everything that shows up. And I also watch a lot of Netflix shows in Danish because it's kind of a fast speaking language. So I can get used to how it sounds when real people are talking and not just the Duolingo guys. So.
Okay, very cool. Isabel?
I know a lot of French by like just learning it in like school. So a lot of it's memory based. And then like I guess I just learn better like when things are repeated to me a lot. So like Duolingo is good because I see the sentences like multiple times and like know the meanings of the words and stuff like that.
Okay. And Bailey?
I'm all three. So I like have to like write stuff down, listen, and speak. So I use like Duolingo and I watch like shows and stuff to help me like kind of understand the pace that they speak. And then I make like cue cards to try to memorize the like words and like pronunciate it.
Excellent. Lucas?
I'm a visual and auditory learner. I found a big bin of old German kids books, so I've been reading those. I switched like my Safari to German, so I get like a couple sentence answers in German. And then I read through these books out loud, so I can kind of pronounce it on my own.
Cool. Safari. So you switched your browser to German. That's interesting. Willow?
I think it helps me to do a mix of all three. So I do Duolingo, I put sticky notes everywhere, and I also like talk it out to like my family.
Okay. Carly?
I think I'm like a mix of all three. I do online tutoring, and then I also do Duolingo and flashcards as well.
And where did you find your online tutoring?
I just do it from Exeter, which is like 20 minutes away, but I do it online. I just like found it through like, I don't know, my mom posted something and then we found like a tutor in the area.
Okay, so it's an actual tutor, not like a tutoring app. Yeah, very cool. Tio?
So I've seen a bit of a pattern about people being all learners, types of learner, which I think like really weird because you can't like do like one certain thing to get better at learning. But I've been using Duolingo, listening to Spotify podcasts and music. I put sticky notes literally all over my room. It looks like a mad scientist office. And then I talk out my notes with my dad. He's first language German. So I sit down, just like talk over my notes, have casual conversation. And yeah, I like hearing the videos on Duolingo as well.
Okay, that sounds cool. So your dad speaks fluent German.
Not fluent anymore, but he's basically basically there. So if you're a spark of conversation, he could hold it just fine, but
Okay.
he doesn't talk much. Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Leah?
Hi, I'm an auditory learner and a kinesthetic learner. And what I've been doing is my brother, he's friends with someone from Japan. So I asked him for advice of how to learn Japanese. And he said to like watch Netflix shows with like that are in Japanese with English subtitles. And I'm also getting a tutor for Japanese, as well as learning how to write and read in Japanese just from like different apps I've seen. And then I'm watching YouTube videos about how to pronounce things and etiquette and stuff and informal things and formal things.
Okay, like YouTube videos?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Gizvi? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah. So I'm a kinesthetic and auditory learner. So I like listening to YouTube videos and then writing things down in my notebook and then saying them to myself so I can memorize how to like pronounce them.
YouTube videos and notes. Okay, great. Eris?
I'm an auditory and visual learner, I think. So I like to use Tripod 101, which has flashcards that like switch it up. So you have to read and listen to the sound sometimes.
Okay, good. Bryn?
think I'm a mixture of all three. Recently, I've been watching YouTube videos. I feel like it's nice because the ones I watch, they show how it's written out and they also repeat it a lot. And then something else I've been doing is I've been recording what I say and then listening to it over when I'm like driving on my speaker or just have my headphones in or something.
Okay, very cool. So we have lots of Duolingo, it sounds like. Some pretty cool ideas, switching your browsers and watching TikToks from your host country. So lots of sticky notes, watching some Netflix movies, all the good stuff we kind of talked about. So it sounds like you guys are well on your way to figuring this all out. And I think that's just about where we're at for that. I didn't set my timer, Kirk, so hopefully we did okay.
That was actually like perfect timing. You were basically 15 minutes like on the dot. So nicely done.
Right.
Nicely done. All right. Cool. Folks, it is so cool to hear that you're doing all these things. Like, you know, for those oldies that are like, we were exchange students in the old days. Well, one of the crappy things about being an exchange student in the old days is we had very, very few options. So it's so exciting to hear that you folks are taking advantage of things like Netflix and Spotify and podcasts, because those are going to help you so much more than, you know, the grammar books and things that we had access to. So that's really cool. You're taking advantage of that. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to pop you into breakout rooms according to the language that you're going to be learning on your exchange. And in your breakout room, you're going to be with either a Rebound or a Rotex, who are people who have gone on exchange and come back, or you might be with a Rotarian, depending on where we could get people from that were able to speak your language, okay? So we're going to pop you in a breakout room. You're going to get an invitation. I think I did it right, but if I put you in the wrong one, you're able to come back to the main session. So just come back to the main session and say, hey, you dummy, you sent me to the wrong spot. And for the ones going to Brazil, let's see here. Okay, I've got to set up a couple people still, but for the ones going to Brazil, because I don't think there's anyone but me who went to Brazil, please speak up if I'm wrong about that. Is there anyone else who went to Brazil that I can put in the breakout room? No? Okay, so I'm going to keep you two out with me in the main group so that I can help get everyone organized, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to open the breakout room. I'm pretty sure I have them all set up. If I don't, like I said, just come back to the main room and be like, Kirk, you sent me to the German room. I'm supposed to be learning Finnish, and we'll get you sorted out. Okay, so you'll have about 10 minutes in the room. For the Rebounds and Rotex, you don't have to ask every question on the homework assignment. You don't need to get through all 15, just a general idea. Like, is it clear that they've been practicing? Is it clear that they've been working on this? Or, you know, do you ask them how to say good morning and they give you deer in the headlights kind of look? That's really what you're aiming for, right? Think about your own homework assignments, right? There wasn't always time to ask about every single phrase or question. It was really more, are you getting the general sense? Are you picking up the language? Are you making an effort? Okay. So I'm going to open those rooms.
Do you have a couple quick questions here, Kirk, in the corner?
Oh, I wasn't sure if I just assumed they were up from before. Sorry. So yeah, Willow.
Oh, are they or not? Willow and Carly, did you guys have something, or your hands just up?
Yeah, from before. Sorry.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Over your hand there, and Carly. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to open those breakout rooms, and away you go. All right. Sorry, Rebounds, Rotex. I know you didn't get to the language. All you were supposed to do was the language. Morgan, you failed the assignment. I'm sorry.
I know.
All it was language.
I have a lot to talk about.
There is. And unfortunately, until we see each other in person at the conference, we're not going to have that full, like, typical few hours that we generally would have. So unfortunately, we don't have time for more time because we don't want to Zoom everybody out. But there will be more time at future conferences. So don't worry too much. And I appreciate any of the talking you guys got to, because whether it's culture, whether it's language, it's useful, right? It's very useful, as you all know already. Okay, so we're going to move on in the interest of time, but thank you again to Rebounds and Rotex for your help with that. Hopefully for you Outbounds, you started to see what amazing connection these folks are. They've lived it, they know it, so they're an amazing connection. You know, if you want to swap emails and contact information and stuff, go ahead and start doing that in the chat, because they're a really great resource for you, okay? All right, next onto the sponsor, Rotary Club Contact. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just going to go back to a Menti question, in fact, and just ask you folks. So you can head back to Menti, and I just want to know, and because it's completely anonymous, you can answer honestly, and just the Outbounds do this one, okay? Have you attended an event or meeting of your Rotary Club? This was part of your homework assignment, was to attend an event. But the reason I did it anonymously is so that if there's people that we need to help push along, we can do that. So far, we're getting lots of yeses. We're getting a couple no's. And again, it is anonymous. I don't know who did what.
We haven't seen the numbers, Kirk. You didn't share your screen.
Oh, right. Of course not. Duh.
I'd like to keep you in line, Kirk.
I was going to say, it's a good thing you're here because you definitely keep me in check. That's right. Thanks, Chuck. Here we go.
I knew I had a function.
I give you purpose, Chuck. You're welcome.
Purpose.
All right. So far it's looking like there's more yeses than nos, which is good. I think we have 26 outbounds. So let's see everybody participate on that. And to the rebounds, if you want to stick around for the rest of this, you are more than welcome to. We're always happy to hear feedback. And just if you want to be helping out in the chat with comments and stuff, you're welcome to. If you need to head out, you're also welcome to go. Okay. So it's totally up to you, but we would love it if you want to stay. If you do have to leave, thank you so much. And we really appreciate you guys being here. Okay. Okay. We've got 22. There's a couple students still haven't participated. Let's give that maybe 30 more seconds. While we're waiting for that, I want to remind you of the reason that this is one of your first assignments, okay? Ross is going to talk to you about the Rotary Youth Exchange Support Network, kind of the people who are on your side, who are here to help support you, make sure you have a successful exchange and kind of do what we can to make sure you're going to be successful. Your sponsor Rotary Club is that starting point, right? They're those people that have committed as a club to saying, we think this person is awesome and we want to send them abroad for a year. So not only, is it a nice kind of payback to say, hey, I want to help your club out. How can I help? Can I come to a meeting? Can I do a project with you? But it's also a great way to show them that that was a great choice in selecting you, right? And then also you're going to get to know them better, and they're going to be a wonderful support network while you're abroad, but also even when you come back too. Okay. All right, we're at 23. We've probably hit our max here. So we have a few people that are in the no's. This isn't meant to be a shaming session by any means, which is why it's anonymous. But what I want to say is, to those 4 people that put no, I really encourage you, okay, if you haven't contacted your club, reach out to them in the next 24 hours. Send an email to your YEO and say, I want to come to a meeting, or I want to come to an event. All right. And make sure that between now and the next time we get together, you've attended a meeting or you've gone to an event. If you're having someone's on mute there. If you've reached out to your YEO or to your club and they're just not responding, contact me, contact Ken, or contact Wendy, okay? Contact your outbound coordinator. We are happy to help if for whatever reason your emails are just not getting through. But also you can pick up the phone too and make a phone call to those people too, right? So keep trying if you have been, and if you haven't, get to it, okay? All right, I think that's all I want to say for that. So thanks for humoring me there. And now I'm going to pass it off to Roseanne to talk to us a little bit about the gratitude journal. So Roseanne.
Okay. Hi. First of all, I can't see people. What do I do to see people? Okay. So can we have a hands up with people who are doing their gratitude journals? Okay. And like I said, I only wanted you writing like 1 or 2 lines. Did it get easier after the first couple of days?
I forgot about it after a little while, but I did it like for a month straight, then forgot.
Okay, that's okay. We want to get you in the habit of doing it. Keep going to it. I'm going to ask, did you do it on days you had a really bad day, and making yourself think about the one good thing made it a little easier? Okay, because what we're trying to do is get you to, on your bad days, be able to still recognize what's good in order to keep your mood up. Because what happens if you have bad days and you keep focusing on the negatives, you get into a cycle of negative thinking, and that can bring your mood down. And you're already going to be dealing with culture shock, which you're going to learn about. You're going to be dealing with homesickness. So doing this is a resiliency technique to help you be able to cope with those daily demands. How does anybody want to comment? I don't need to hear what your good things were, your bad things, but any of the things you felt like you learned from doing this.
Just unmute and go.
Okay, Willow?
There's more good things.
Oh, Naomi? Okay, no, I'm looking at hands that were up and Willow's hands was up. Go ahead, Naomi. You started to say something.
Yeah, sorry. He said to jump right in, so I just went for it. Like there's more good things that you don't realize are like good until you really think about it. Like you don't really recognize it throughout your day until you think about it.
I agree.
Yeah. We have a thing called a cognitive bias. And one of the things is good things don't make us be unsafe or hurt us. So we have this cognitive bias to pay more attention to the bad things because the bad things are the stuff that could hurt us. So sometimes we have to actively make ourselves notice them. And like you say, you sometimes are going, it really wasn't that bad a day. There was a couple of bad things, but there's some good things. Anybody else? Okay, Noah, your hand is up.
It was really nice to even on like a few days ago, I had a really bad day with my brother tore his ACL. It was just not a good day. And I went to my journal at the end of the day because I made it a habit. And I wrote down, I was trying to think of something really hard. I had to think about it. And the thing I came up with was my avocado toast was really good today. And it was funny because
yeah, sometimes that's what you have to go with.
And then,
okay, Willow?
I was gonna say sometimes the bad things end up turning out to be a good thing anyways, like something good will come out of it. So
I saw somebody else's hand up, but now I can't see it. Noah, did you want to say something? Did somebody else have? Anna. Anne, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Noah kind of said the same thing, is that I just kind of realized that the good thing doesn't have to be like a big positive thing that happened during my day. And not every good thing has to happen on a good day, but just like the tiny things. And I don't know, it kind of makes life seem a little bit more beautiful and complete because there's all those little things like a walk to school or stuff like that kind of, I don't know. I don't know.
No, that's right. Because sometimes we forget we don't get married every day. We don't go on vacation every day. So expecting all our good things to be that big, we're gonna have lunch down let bag our whole life. So one of the ones that I end up using, when we were in Zambia, we had to walk down to the river to get water. And at one point we couldn't because there were hippos in the water. So we were lugging buckets of water. And I can now, sometimes if I'm having a bad day, I'll go get a glass of water and I'll just think, I didn't have to walk to the river to get water. I didn't have to worry that there might be hippos in the water. My life is so easy. It's not a big thing, but it definitely gets me out of, oh my God, my life sucks. No, it doesn't. I can just turn on a tap and get water. So the little things are really, really important. Anybody else?
Just going to give you the 1 minute heads up there, Roseanne.
Okay, so I'm going to give you homework for next week or the next meeting. One of the things that happens when you go on exchange is nobody knows who you are. And it can make you feel like, I don't know who I am here anymore. Everything I'm used to is gone. So I'm going to ask you to write down 3 skills you have. You may not be able to use them because, hey, you're in a country that doesn't have ice skating. But 3 skills that you've worked hard to develop that no matter what, you know you've got and you're proud of them. And then I want you to think about 5 personality traits. And these do not have to be personality traits you're proud of or you feel good about, but 5 qualities about yourself that are true. And it could be something like, yeah, if I don't eat enough, I get really cranky. But 5 things about yourself that even when your entire environment has completely shifted, you hold on to those things about yourself. Okay? So 3 skills, 5 personality traits. Any questions? And again, these are for you. You don't have to share what you pick about yourself.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Roseanne. That's wicked. Okay. I'll make sure I add that to the homework assignment so that it's in the written document so they have that, okay? And I'm going to include, I assume you want them to keep going with the gratitude journal, right? Because I'll keep that in. Okay, perfect. All right, so just quickly taking a look here. All right, so it is now time to move on to talking about, so that was all of homework assignment number 1, okay? So I'm going to jump back here, share my screen once again. All right. So that was all of homework assignment number 1, right? You did the language homework. You talked about getting in touch with your sponsor club, or you did get in touch with your sponsor club, which is great. And for those of you who haven't, you're going to make a grand effort in the next couple of days to do that, which is great. And you've been working on your gratitude journal. So keep that up. Okay. And one thing I want to mention about the first homework assignment is don't think that we're going to be giving you more language homework and stuff, but don't just completely stop looking at the stuff you've already learned, right? You're still going to want to review the language stuff that you've already learned. All right. It's not something that you just, okay, I learned that word. Not going to look at it again until I arrive in Italy. All right. So, and now I'm going to pass it over to Wendy, who is going to talk to us about our next homework assignment. So Wendy, go ahead.
I can't get it up, so you're gonna have to.
Oh, can you see my screen there? Because it's got just no. Okay. No. Okay. No worries. Okay. So I would try to talk like Wendy, but she's just not impersonatable. She's one of a kind. So I'm just gonna talk like me, and you could just pretend I'm Wendy. So for the next homework assignment that I'll be sending out, well, not I'll be sending out. That'll be getting sent out maybe tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. We're gonna do the next part of the language homework, okay? So that's going to be including what you've already done, but it's going to be adding some more language as well. One point I wanted to make is I looked at the language learning log, and some of you are using it amazingly. Thank you for that. That is so cool to see how you've been learning in addition to our conversation tonight. It's great to see how much time you've been spending learning your language. Some of you are either not doing very much or you're not recording it very much. If you're not studying very much, I would try to up the number a little bit, okay? Get a few more hours of practice in every week. But if you're just not recording, then heck, get the credit. Make sure you record that time that you're studying, okay? And for those of you that have 0, you might be going language log, what the heck is he talking about? If this isn't ringing a bell for you, you need to send me or Wendy or Ken a message, because obviously you're not sure of what we're talking about, all right? And if you are sure what we're talking about, but you just haven't been using it, it's time to start plugging in your information for that, okay? Because we're using that to kind of see where is everybody at in terms of their language. Are they using it? Are they not? How much are they studying? And so that's a good gauge for us. Okay, so we need everybody to be using that language log. Okay, so we're going to give you the next piece. Yes, Caleb, go ahead.
I know about the language log, but it says that I need to request edit access and it won't let me edit it.
Oh, okay. I will check into that after this call, okay?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so you're going to get some more language homework. Okay, so we're going to have both the list like we did last time, the 15 or so phrases and words, but we're also going to have the more extensive language homework assignment if you want something that's more extensive and more structured. So the bare minimum that you will want you to know for next time is those 15 phrases or so, but for anybody that wants to either challenge themselves or for anybody that wants a more structured approach, you have that language learning plan as well. Yeah, Teo.
Okay, I just had one question regarding what's left of our one homework assignment, because there's going to be a bit of overlap, I'm guessing. We still have like the 5 words to learn each and every day for the rest of the week. Okay, just making sure if there wasn't like a mistake or something. Thanks a lot.
No, that's if you're doing the more structured, more intensive plan, then yeah, keep going with that. There will be an overlap for a little while because it was meant, I think, to kind of go for about a month. But yeah, there will be a little bit of an overlap if you're doing that more intensive plan.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Okay, the next piece is going to be a culture piece. All right. And what it's going to do is it's going to be asking you to look at different aspects of your sponsor country, which is Canada, the US, and your host country, which is wherever you're going abroad. And it's going to ask you to compare. Now, what we don't want you to do, some of you might do this, it might say, think about the government. And then you might go, okay, Canada is a constitutional monarchy and Brazil is a federal republic. Okay, well, that's really cool, but what the heck does that actually mean? What's the difference, right? When Abby went to France, she could have told them that they were a federative republic, but what does that actually mean for the way France runs? Okay, so what you're going to see is that we've got some pretty broad categories, right? We might have health or sports, but we're going to look for more than just a one-word answer to those. We want you to really dig in a little bit and start to go, what are sports like in North America? What do people think of sports in North America? Do we care? Do we make a big thing? And what do they think of it in in Europe, or in Germany, or in Brazil, or in Japan. Okay, so that's essentially what the second part's going to be, is a comparison of your host country culture to your sponsor country, or your home country culture. Keeping in mind, these are going to be more of the surface level things, right? These are really the things that are, the dance, the music, the food, the culture, the education. It's not really that under the surface stuff. We're going to talk more about those pieces, the more complex pieces, at the in-person conference in March. All right, and the last piece, keep going with your attitude journal, your gratitude journal. The other piece that Roseanne had mentioned was 3 skills, okay, and 5 personality traits. Okay, so we'll get that out to you tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
So just a quick note to the culture too. Remember that we're an international district, so we want to do both Canada and the US.
Yeah, especially because if you're Canadian, to a lot of people around the world, you might as well be American, because they don't understand the distinction. They're sometimes not even sure that they're 2 different countries. So you will be expected to, I shouldn't say expected to know a lot about the US, but they will assume that you know a lot about the US. So it's helpful to know that. Okay. All right, any questions about that before we move on? Yeah, Katharina.
Can you send the language log thing again?
Yeah, the link will be also in this homework assignment. Same link as before. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay, then if there's no other questions, I'm going to pass it off to Ross, who is going to talk to us about the introduction to RYE support network. Oh, Teo, I think you had a question, unless that was from before, and I'm just noticing it now.
Yes, sorry, just on top of that last question, are you giving us a new learning log or just the same link to the same one?
Same link, continue on, keep tracking.
Oh, thank gosh. Okay.
Believe me, I don't want to make any more work for myself than I already have, so I will not be giving anybody a new link.
So, Kurt,
yeah, indubitably.
Ross.
Are you gonna run the PowerPoint, or?
It's up to you. I can run it if you want, or if you want to run it, I can stop sharing my screen. So what do you want me to do?
Seeing you've got your screen up, why don't you just run it?
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
That might just save us a little bit of time, and
yeah,
and they don't have to watch me sit here and try and figure out how to share my screen.
Yeah. So just tell me when you want me to
keyboard here. So as soon as you're ready with the first slide. Oh, look at that. Oh, I even had some cute, cool graphics. So I learned a little while ago that I had to do this for you guys. And I asked everybody to send me their PowerPoints, and I kind of went, oh, none of these really work exactly the way Kirk and I talked about what we want to tell you about, which is basically the structure of Rotary Youth Exchange, which is kind of a multi-layered thing. There's your Rotary Club, which is the club that that sponsored you, and you'll have a host club when you get on exchange. Your district, one of the 3 districts you're part of. And then there's our multi-district Central States, which is a bigger organization. And who are these Rotarians that are working for you? First though, can we go to the next slide, Kirk? Just a quick review on some terminology, just because you might get lost if you don't remember these things. Not that they're not super basic. RI, I'm not even going to mention, but that's Rotary International. RYE is Rotary Youth Exchange. CSRYE is the Central States Rotary Youth Exchange. That's our multi-district. YEO and YEC, that's the Youth Exchange Officer and Youth Exchange Counselor. Those are going to be important. Inbounds are the folks that are here on exchange. Outbounds are the folks that are somewhere else. Rebounds are the folks some of the ones you just met, they have finished their year. No, I don't yet. And the Rotex, I like this one. They're rebounds with maturity. I'm just going to leave that the way it and move on. So let's start with your sponsor club. That's your club here, the one you are familiar with, the one we asked you to go and visit. That's in Canada or the US. It's home. It's in it's in your district, and your district is one of those 3 districts there. That's not in any particular order, just numerical. And our multi-district, as I said, is Central States. Okay, let's go to our next slide there, Kirk. In your Rotary Club, there's possibly a youth exchange committee, and on that committee there's pretty much has to be a youth exchange officer. That's the bare essentials. You got to have one of those. Hopefully they have a youth exchange counselor and a youth protection officer. There are people in your club who are all focused on youth exchange and sending you away and looking after the kid that comes in. Do you have a question, Theo, or is that from before? You're still muted.
Sorry, that's from before, Ross.
Okay, if you could just make that go away for me, that'd be great. Thanks. So it's already part of your assignment, but you really need to get to know the people that are sending you on exchange. Every club invests time and money in this program, and they really want to know that you are worth it. And they can't know that if they don't get to know you. And a lot of them really want to get to know you. We've got a guy in our club here in Goddard who is really big into antique cars. He owns more antique cars than I have ever owned vehicles in my entire life, or will ever own for as long as I live. And he loves to show it to the exchange students. So it is great to get to know. Some of them are a lot of fun. That we had a guy who loved to show the exchange students his model trains, and that's not actually a joke, and it's not like a stamp collection. So, and if you can help with projects, that's even better. Can we go to the next slide? All right, your district youth exchange committee. Now you've met some of these people before, and pretty much every district is organized this in a similar fashion. There's a district, there has to be a district chair. There's Gabriel, myself, and Stephanie for the 3 districts here. But more importantly to you right now, Chuck raised his hand. Why, Chuck?
Many of probably 6,400 kids don't realize that I am no longer district chair. So there might have been some confusion there that a week ago, I guess, was our meeting, or 2 weeks ago, that I have moved to a country correspondent. So that's why you see Stephanie and not Chuck, is because Stephanie is our new district chair. However, I will still be helping in the background, or you can still communicate with me and I can move it on to Stephanie, but I am no longer a district chair.
He is still married to Wendy, sort of, though. They don't live together. Chuck can explain that to you some other time. Anyway, so you have district chairs. More importantly, you have your outbound coordinator, Ken, Kirk, and Wendy. These people, for you outbounds, they're your most important connection. They're the people, they're responsible for training you and guiding you for the next 18 months. And the reason it says 18 months is their job doesn't end when you get on the plane. They are there to be in contact with you bare minimum once a month until you get back home. Okay, so no matter how important I think I am, or Chuck used to think he was, the most important people in your life right now is your outbound coordinator. Can we have the next slide, Kirk? This is just to show you our district has a lot of different roles. This is our little organizational chart. And first, it's just a thing so you know that the district isn't just me and Kirk and Roseanne. We have inbound coordinators who look after the kids when they arrive. Right now, we don't have any inbound, so their job is real easy. And obviously, Kirk is our outbound coordinator. We have conference coordinators. The reason that's important to you is because they make sure you get fed when we get to a conference. I don't know about you, I like to eat. So they're important people. We have our list of others. And obviously you've met Roseanne. And she's the one next to your Outbound coordinator who you want to remember. And if you need something, she's there to listen. I'm sorry that little elephant thing didn't really cut it, but when I was looking for a little thing to stick in there this morning, that was the best I could come up with. But our treasurer for our district is on this call tonight. He's not only is our treasurer, he comes to the conferences and does the dishes so that you guys don't have to, so you spend your time doing training and not washing dishes. We have people that come and cook our food for us. And of course we have an amazing group of Rotex and Rebounds who help us out. So that's our district, 6330's district's youth exchange structure. Next slide, please, Kirk. We've never done this tri-district thing before. These are our 3 districts, and as you can see, we cross borders, and some of us cover a lot of territory. So hopefully this isn't an official Rotary thing or a Central States thing. It's just we got together because geographically we're pretty close, and we thought this would make your training better and perhaps give some of us a little bit of an easier time. So far it's working pretty good. Can we have our next slide, please? You're part of the Central States multi-district, which is 20 districts. This is a map, and I think it's a fairly goofy map, but you know, you can see our 3 districts. I don't know, I can't point to that. Yes, no, I can't.
Yes, you can.
That's not showing up though. Kirk, can you use your arrow to point out where our 3, yeah, there you go, down in there. That's our 3 districts down there. So we're way off in the east end of this organization, and it covers a whole lot of other states. And if you look up at the top of the map, 5580 is absolutely massive. I wouldn't want to travel from one end of that district to another. Next slide. Oh, that one. Yes. The only reason you really need to know about the multi-district is because they process your application and get it to where it needs to be overseas. And it allows us to have a lot more countries to trade with. The country list you chose from was, I think, close to 30. Is that right, Kirk? Yeah, it was about 30 countries. I've talked to other districts that operate on their own. They don't have anywhere near that number of countries that they trade with, or they don't really know from one year to the next who they're going to trade with. So it's a very different kind of a process for them. At Central States, there is an outbound coordinator. That outbound coordinator read all of your applications and assigned you to your country. Woohoo! Another sort of important person at Central States is the country correspondent. You may or may not have heard from your country correspondent already. I know some of you have, because I get copied on the emails. That person got your application from the Central States Outbound Coordinator and has now sent your application on to their trading partner. And they're now also receiving applications from overseas. I know Ken's district has already received at least one inbound student application, and they're processing that. We've received one that's going to go to the London area. The other thing you need to know about Central States is, not this year, but next year, there's going to be a really, really big conference in July when you get back. All of the students that go in and out from Central States meet in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we have a massive conference. And it's really neat because the size of it makes it so that there are rebounds and inbounds from all the countries. So in our training, we might not have a rebound to help you with your language because we don't have somebody that went there. When we get to the conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan, there will be somebody there who has just come back from your country, for sure. There we go. Oh, what? Oh yeah, sorry. The hosting multi-district. There are many multi-districts around the world. I assume they operate in a similar fashion to central states. Like I know, for example, Spain is all one big multi-district. I think Germany as well. So they do similar things, and it's also in how they process the paperwork. Next. So you also will have a host district. So you notice how this kind of went from club to district to multi-district. Now we're going back down the other way. Multi-district, host district. Your host district provides inbound orientation. So you'll get to meet all of the inbounds in your district when you get overseas, and you'll have activities and things with them. You will have an inbound coordinator, a district chair and an inbound coordinator in your host district. And again, that's the same idea. These are the people that are primarily responsible for you. And guess what? When you get overseas, you are an inbound, but you still are outbound. It's MPD at its best. That's multi-personality disorder, just in case you're wondering. Oh, don't be annoying. Sorry, Roseanne's giving me a hard time, so apparently we don't use MPD anymore. She's a psychologist, not me. Anyway, your hosting district might also provide you with a language camp or a language tutor support, or I think like in the case of Switzerland, you have to do the Rosetta Stone. And trust me, you want to keep up. And the head of the Swiss Rotary Youth Exchange, don't mess with that lady. She is mean. I'm talking to you too. She's not me, I'm kidding.
Strict.
Yes, she's strict. I don't want to cross her anyway. So the other thing your host district will do is they arrange, or the multi-district may do this as the way ours does, is they arrange the tours, like the Euro tour and that kind of thing, or the Brazil tour to the Continental. Which one did you go on, Kirk?
I went on the South trip. So we went to Iguazu Falls. We went to, well, everywhere on the South, Rio, Florianopolis, Curitiba. Yeah.
Right on. Next slide, Kirk. I think we should be down to our host club. Yeah. So again, now you like your sponsor club, there will be a youth exchange officer. That is the person who is technically your guardian while you are in Switzerland or Japan. So they are absolutely responsible for you. They're responsible to make sure you follow the rules and get your allowance and that kind of stuff. But you should also have, I say should, doesn't always happen, you should have a youth exchange counselor. That's somebody just to help you out, to help you solve problems, somebody to talk to that isn't your host parent, that isn't your YEO, that is hopefully on your side.
Ross, can I just mention?
Sorry?
I'm just going to mention, Ross, one way we explain it to the Rotary clubs for the outbounds is that we say the YEO is like your parent or your guardian, right? They make the rules, they kind of, they're your legal guardian. Your YEC, your counselor, is kind of like your aunt or your uncle, that cool aunt or uncle that you can go to, that kind of has your back, that you kind of know, just gets it, right? They're that person that you can trust and can talk to about stuff.
So, yeah, you need to seek these people out. and it may be hard for you to understand, and the distinctions may not be entirely clear, but you really do need someone to talk to, preferably there, that understands your language and their language. So you also you'll have a host family for sure. You'll have a host parent or parents, and possibly siblings, and they will also help you out and guide you and support you, and make sure you get up in the morning and go to school, and you have to go to school. Sorry about that, but that's the way this goes. And so this does not look like what it looked like this morning. Did you tweak this?
I just put it into 2 columns to be like now versus on exchange. That's all.
Looks much better. Kirk's much cooler at this kind of stuff than I am. So now, right now, your support network is your sponsor club youth exchange officer, your outbound coordinator, so very, very important, your district counselor, Roseanne, and your district chair. Meh, just don't piss us off. When you're on exchange, you have your host parents. That's your first line of support. Your second line of support is your youth exchange officer and your youth exchange counselor in your host club. Your next line of support is the inbound coordinator. And I say in line, but it's kind of in parallel, but you still have, while you are on exchange, your outbound coordinator, your district counselor, and your district chair. So this is your support system. And you'll notice that your mom and dad are not on this list. They may have gone on exchange, but they're not on this exchange. And certainly your outbound coordinator and district chair and district counselor have a lot more experience than somebody who went on exchange 25 years ago or 15 years ago. We've been dealing with this a lot. We know what we're doing, and we know the Rotary system. So please come to us first. If you have to unload on your parents, give it a day. Like, don't come home from whatever traumatic event that happened and call your parents or FaceTime your mom and dad and say, I want to come home, because they don't know how to make this all work and the right way to support you. We've done this before. You have to trust us, please.
And I'd also say that even if your parents were past exchange students, they have this strange emotional bond to you for some reason that we don't have, where we're able to be a little bit more level-headed, a little bit more logical, a little bit more, okay, yeah, Bailey, you're having a rough day, but this is totally normal for what's happening in France. This is to be expected. Your mom hears that same thing and goes, you need to help my baby girl, Bailey. She is in trouble and she needs help and she is not feeling good. And she's not going, this is good for Bailey. This is growth. This is what Bailey wanted. She's going, my girl's hurting. I need that to stop. Right. You laugh, but we've seen this, right? And that's normal. That's good. They're your parents. They care about you. That's what they want. But we also know what's normal, what's not normal to expect on exchange, things like that they won't have insight into.
And the other thing is, we can't step in on your parents' say so. So if you're phoning your parents and saying, I'm not getting my allowance, we need to hear that from you, not from your parents. So don't tell your parents assuming they'll get a hold of us and we'll fix it. No, your exchange, you do the calling.
I think that was my last slide, wasn't it, Kirk?
Yeah, it was. So now
that might be a good good check for understanding. If you weren't getting your allowance, your stipend, who would you call? Who would you talk? Who would you go to first?
And don't say Ghostbusters or you're out of exchange.
Maybe back up your slide there, Kirk, because it's
Oh yeah, you
on
want
the
to go
list.
next?
How about your favorite uncle? Which is who? The YEC, right? That's who you'd go to first. And the YEC would go to the YEO. And the YEO would go to wherever. There's a huge hierarchy. The last people are on the list are people on this side. The sponsor. You should go through all the host first before you would ever contact the sponsor on this side to say you're having problems.
Awesome. All right, so thanks, Ken. So I'm going to open it up to just Q&A. So we've reached the end of what we wanted to talk to you folks about tonight. So if there's questions or comments, we've got about 4 minutes, I'll say. So if anybody has questions, go ahead. Once we hit 8:30, you're welcome to log off and kind of decompress for the night and start getting ready for the next homework assignment. But are there any questions? Noah, yeah, I think you raised your hand.
I think this was talked about the last meeting, but I didn't fully understand. Is there a way to get any credits on the exchange, like a language credit?
Yeah, so I think what came out of the discussion from last thing is the biggest thing you want to do is talk to your guidance counselors now at your high school and say, hey, I'm going on this exchange. I'd like to know what credits are possible or available. That's going to be where the conversation starts, because they're going to be the ones that you're going to need to work with. I think the biggest thing that came out of last month's meeting was don't wait until you get back. Okay, talk about it before you go with your guidance counselors.
Well,
and anyone else want
to? I did talk with my guidance counselor about it, but there's two issues. One, my guidance counselor is retiring this year and won't be there next year. And he also doesn't really know of any exchange credits. And he told me to go to you guys.
Oh, interesting. And what school board are you with, Noah?
Blue Water.
You're with Blue Water. Ross, I'm thinking we can maybe take that conversation offline and chat with you about that, Noah.
I can jump in here from
thank
Blue
you.
Water. It's very dependent on the principal of each school. And if your guidance counselor doesn't know, reach out to the principal. Within the Blue Water School Board, there have been some students that got 8 credits simply for going on exchange, and other students who got 0 credits despite asking if they could do anything in advance. So talk to the principal and see if you can set something up, and they may not do anything until your return.
Okay.
Also, look up the PLAR process. Go to your school website and look up with it's previous learning, assessment, and recognition. And so lots of kids who have a second language because they have taken heritage language courses, or a kid who's been doing auto mechanics with his father, they can do an assessment and get it recognized as a credit. But the Ministry of Education set up a process called PLAR, P-L-A-R.
Yeah.
And look at it. And if your principal says it's not possible, pull that PLAR out and say, it says right here it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful.
And that's in Ontario.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to move over to, thanks, Noah. I'm going to move over to Lucas.
Is there any idea of when we know where we're going, like what district, what city?
No, there's no set date. I know Carly, for example, has already heard from her district and her club. So it's going to depend in the next few months. There's no set. No, basically there's no set day or anything like that. It's just going to be, it's the waiting game now. Okay. Ross, would you say, Ross and Chuck, would you, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ross.
I was going to just jump in here for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, as I was explaining about the central state stuff, your application has to get from the country correspondent here to a country correspondent overseas. That country correspondent then has to assign it to a district. That district then has to assign it to a club. So it has to kind of get overseas and then work its way down through the different layers. And some places have more layers, some places take longer. And it also depends on the YEO when it lands in their lap, how fast they are at getting back to you.
Ross, I guess what I was going to ask is when should they start maybe reaching out to either me or Ken or Wendy and saying, hey, I haven't heard anything, like is May or June, I guess, like if you haven't heard anything by then, you would start to be a little bit.
I've had student, well, my son was August before it was after Central States.
Okay.
As well, if anybody has things, now I can throw my country correspondent hat on. If anybody has outstanding things like passports and that sort of affair, applications have not been sent to those countries. So we have to have complete applications. So if there's anything outstanding, you may have been assigned a country, but paperwork has not gone to that country to be assigned. So again, if you're waiting for your passport to come in, that is why it's imperative that as soon as that comes in, it's got to be uploaded and sent. Don't sit on it. As soon as, if you're waiting for another COVID shot or something else, all that information has to be complete before it goes to the country. So it's really, really important that if you're waiting for passports, and that's the big one right now, your paperwork has not even gone to the other country.
Thanks, Chuck, and thanks, Ross.
One other thing on that too, when the countries select the student that's going to their area, you will probably hear before we will hear, because your host family will want to reach out to you. And then when you do hear that, just send us a text or an email and just let us know that you've heard from your family, or because it kind of is a little backwards, but it's exciting for them that you're going to be in their country as well.
Okay, Trinity.
I heard you talk about an allowance, and I actually haven't heard about that yet. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. Your host Rotary Club will provide you with a monthly allowance. It varies from district to district, country to country. And it is usually in the range of well, here it's $100. But you're not in countries like Brazil, you're not going to get $100 in US or Canadian, because that would be an outrageous amount of money. The idea is, it pays for your toothpaste and deodorant and that kind of thing. They should be, hopefully your host club is going to cover things like school uniforms. And if you have to use like a public transit bus to get to school, hopefully they'll cover that kind of thing too. But it really is quite variant, but you do get an allowance.
And think of it as purchasing power of $100. Don't go $100 Canadian is this many HEI, so I should get 240 HEI. You will get the purchasing power, and that may mean you only get an allowance that's worth $30 Canadian.
Kurt, could you stop sharing your screen so we can see more people?
Oh yeah. All right, so on to Bailey, I think is next.
Just with the conference, like for this, or like March 4th, the Saturday, will the parents be staying for the conference, or are they just?
So parents are going to be there for Saturday morning. Now, given that a lot of you will be driving a couple of hours, I mean, your parents are welcome. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The idea is to have content for the parents for the morning, and then they're able to do what they want for the afternoon and then come pick you up around 5 o'clock. Okay, so they'll be there in the morning learning with you, well, separately from you, but they're with you. And then they can do what they want for the afternoon. They can go shopping, they can do whatever. And then they have to come pick you up because we don't have anywhere to put you after 5 o'clock. So
I think the parents are coming back for 4 o'clock, if that's if I remember.
Yes,
my
that's right.
paper.
Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Yeah. Thanks, Yeah, thanks, Wendy. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, so they have to be back for 4 o'clock. Sorry, not 5 o'clock. Thanks, Wendy. Okay, on to Gwendolyn.
I was wondering if we get like any say in what classes we take while we're abroad.
I would say that largely depends on the country you're going to, but I would say by and large, no. You know, Chuck or Ross or anyone, do you want to comment on that? I would say largely you don't.
Every school system is different, and most of them are unlike Canada or the US. Usually they will put you in and you will be in a lot of them are the school, all the students take the same subjects, so you don't get to pick like you do here. That's very rare. You are put in with a class. Some places the teacher moved, the class stays the same. It's totally dependent on that. And don't be surprised if you are put in a grade or 2 lower than you because of the workload. So if you're in grade 12, you might be in grade 10 or 11 only because of your language skills or what they're prepping for. Some of them have national exams they have to do, so they're in prep mode. So they're trying to match you with what you can do. So just be prepared that school is markedly different all over the world. And that might be a question that when we do a breakout room down the road, Kirk might be best suited for the breakout room as to kind of how the school system works in that particular country.
That's part of
We
their
often
homework
hear
too, so there you go.
we often hear from the inbounds that come here, they're shocked when we ask them what courses they want to take, because in the country they come from, they don't get a choice. So Canada and the US is very shocking to them that they get a choice.
I would say you might get a choice, for example, between, you might have to take a second language and you get to choose what language that is, but you're likely not going to get to choose, 80% of your courses. You might get to choose 10% type thing. So expect more that side than choosing the majority. Okay. Yeah. Morgan just mentioned I only got an elective choice. Okay. And Abby mentioned to an extent being able to choose a stream. So, okay. I think Teo had a question as well, unless maybe it was already answered. Teo, did you have a question there, or are you good? You had your hand up first. No? Okay.
Haley
I think Haley is trying to ask, was going to ask me a question.
Sure. Yeah. Haley, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know how to use the hand up thing. Anyway, so the conference for March is going to be in Canada, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So for I'm from the US, so I can get in, but can my parents, without a passport, can they get in?
No, you have to have a passport to come to Canada. There's no way around it. What you might want to do, Haley, is talk to Bryn or Willow. No, not Willow. Bryn or who's my other American out of 6,400?
Isabella?
No, Canadian. Let's see.
Avery?
Isvi. And see if you can catch a ride with them.
Okay, sorry.
And Chuck, would they have to have, would Haley then probably have to have a letter from her parents explaining why she's with someone else's parents crossing the border? Yeah, okay.
It would be
And remember, crossing the border, you must complete the Arrive Can app. So to come across the border, you have to do the Arrive Can app. And maybe we can send something out with how to do that to our American counterparts.
There is a standard form if you want for traveling with another adult or another family.
Okay.
If
you have that, Ken,
usually get away with it, but it's always nice to have everything you could possibly have. So
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Chuck. And thanks, Haley. Any other questions then before we wrap up? All right.
Sorry, just one more thing. And Haley, I would really suggest having your parents apply for a passport, because we have 2 other ones that will be in Canada after that. So should be pretty important to grab a passport.
They should also have a passport just in case they have to come to collect you. If while you're on exchange, you end up in a hospital and your parents need to come and get you, they need a passport.
Mhm.
So.
Or if during the exchange weekend, you break both your legs because you're not used to ice.
So.
Wait, isn't America warmer?
No, no,
So,
no.
Right. Okay, so if there's no other questions, then we'll wrap it up. Thank you to everybody for your attention. I know, again, 7 o'clock on a weeknight is late when you've been in school and stuff all day. And I know a lot of you are coming from part-time jobs and stuff. So good job, everybody. Sounds like things are going well progress-wise. Keep it up. We'll do even better next time. The next time we meet is going to be just before the March conference. We have an online session on the Thursday. Okay, so that's, I believe it's March 2nd. Am I right on that? The Thursday before that weekend conference. Okay, so we have our online session on the Thursday, the 3rd. Okay, on the 3rd. Then we'll meet in person on the 5th, which is the Saturday. And then we'll be meeting online again on the Sunday. Okay, so go out, have a good night, everybody. Oh, Carly has a question.
No,
maybe not. Maybe she raised her hand.
Sorry,
There we
I
go.
didn't mute my mic for a minute.
Yeah.
I was wondering, on the Sunday, do you know what time the meeting is?
Yeah, we just set that a little while ago. So it's just, I believe it's 12 till 3. Ken, Wendy, quote me if, or correct me if I'm wrong. It was 12 till 3, right? Yeah, 12 till 3. Yeah.
And then for the Saturday, what time do we have to be there?
You'll need to be there for, I believe we said 9, right? So we do 9 to 5. I'm gonna have to double check that, but yeah. What I can do when yeah. So when I send out this next homework assignment for the District 6330 kids, I'll include that information, that the times, okay? All right. Okay, everyone, you're free. Go have a good night. Thanks a lot, everybody. And thanks to all the Rotarians on the call for helping put this together. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.